Hi there. This is a bonus video. It's not one of my regularly scheduled videos. It's not really about language learning. It's about the importance of disagreeing, the importance of entertaining different points of view and recognizing that people don't always have to agree. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm a little bit peeved, I should say, having just had a look at the video, the interview that I did with Matt versus Japan, on his channel, and I referenced it in the discussion we had in Japanese. I think there was a link in the description box. At any rate, I'll make sure that there's a link here, where we spoke for about 30 minutes, most of it in English. Most of it was Matt explaining how he went about learning Japanese and his approach to learning Japanese. And what has prompted me to make this video is as I review the comments, I'm just absolutely taken aback by the amount of sort of venom and hostility that is expressed by the vast majority of people commenting on this video, and there are a lot of them. And the gist of it is that I am close-minded. I don't want to, accept Matt's way of learning Japanese. Probably I can't speak Japanese anyway, and you can go there and have a look. But I looked at this, I said, holy cow. But it's part of a larger phenomenon. And this is the sort of phenomenon that somehow we are not allowed to disagree. I have to be blown away with whatever Matt is doing. I have to consider that so wonderful, when in fact I don't think that. I think that he is perfectly entitled to pursue, the nth degree of perfection in Japanese, which is a perfectly valid thing to pursue. And I said that I thought it was certainly, that's what his choice is, that's what he chooses to do. But I have a different approach. And my approach is that I like to learn a lot less, in less depth, about a number of languages. But even that in the comments is considered to be, very amateurish and dilettantish and so forth and so on. But, and I also made the point in our original discussion that whatever he wants to pursue in Japanese, greater depth of knowledge in some aspect of Japanese, all of this comes through more engagement with the language, more listening. You want to know more about business Japanese, you listen to and read more business Japanese. You want to do more on history, you do more reading and listening on history. You will never cover it all. But as long as you're driven by an interest in those things, of course you should do that. And there's no way I don't respect that. That's a perfectly valid thing to do. However, in my case, I have listened to audiobooks on history and on literature and have read books in certainly 18 languages. So I've listened to history books in Polish and Czech and in Ukrainian and in Romanian, even though I don't speak the language very well, and not to mention German and Swedish and French and Chinese and Japanese and podcasts in Korean. And so that's what I like to do. And that gives me a broader range of experience through the language, a broader range of knowledge. And I'm not saying that what I do is superior, but it is a choice. But the suggestion in all of these comments, and maybe I'm overreacting, is that, I have to be blown away with what Matt is doing. I have to think that's tremendous. I have to go, wow. And that's obviously a superior approach. And it's just a choice. But it is part of a broader picture. I was once at a conference here in Vancouver where they talked about, what was it called? Dialoguing. So you're not supposed to disagree any longer. You're just supposed to kind of massage around and come to the same kind of conclusion. I mean, that's what's been a big part of this whole political correctness thing. There is one correct way of doing things, and everybody must somehow coalesce around this. And I'm saying that in history, if Galileo didn't say that in fact the earth revolves around the sun, if no one questioned church dogma, if we don't have lively debates about subjects, we're never going to get past the established conventional wisdom. And therefore, we should encourage people to debate, challenge what they're saying. By all means, get in there and say, I don't like that because of this reason and that reason. But what we see more of is this sort of, why don't you agree? I find that even on, I've had the odd exchange on my channel here where I ask people for their opinions and someone comes forward with an opinion. And then I say, well, no, actually, I don't agree with that. I still feel the way I originally felt. And then the person says, well, if you didn't want my opinion, why did you ask for it? Well, I didn't necessarily say that I was going to agree with everything that people said. I'm just interested in hearing other opinions. Because when we hear other opinions and when we're involved in a debate or a discussion, we very, very rarely persuade other people that we are right. But we listen. And as we listen, we learn things. At the very least, we're forced to reassess our views and to justify those views to ourselves and to the other person whom we may not persuade, but at least we have to think it through. And it's also possible that some of the things that the other person says may influence how we feel. But all of that only happens if we can actually have a debate. A debate suggests that we disagree. And so I'm saying that because I just want to get this off my chest. I looked at those comments. I'll leave the link to Matt versus whatever, Japan Steve, whatever, on his channel. I let him speak for 15 to 20 minutes. I hardly said anything. And then I commented on what I thought of his approach. And for whatever reason, that has earned the wrath of the vast majority of his followers. And I just think it's unhealthy for there to be that degree of ill will towards an opinion that diverges from whatever is the sort of conventional dogma amongst the followers of Matt. And I say that without wanting to take anything away from Matt, who is actually a very pleasant person to talk to and who speaks excellent Japanese and whom I respect tremendously for what he has done with his Japanese, particularly given the fact that he has only lived in Japan for 6 months. So he has learned his Japanese essentially in the United States. And by the way, I always say you don't need to be in the country to learn the language, and being in the country doesn't guarantee that you will learn the language. So in that sense, Matt is also proof of that. So I just want to get that off my chest. It's out there and probably will trigger a whole bunch more negative comments. But I think particularly in this day and age when there's so much sort of arrogance and intolerance in how people present their views, we need to take a step back. Like everything I say here now, if somebody wants to come along and produce a video that totally disagrees with me, that's fine too. But then I may come back and disagree with that person in turn. And that's what's called open discussion, free discussion, debate, ideas, challenging each other. And all of that can be done without casting aspersions on the person's character. So thank you for listening. And there you have it. Bye for now.